So if you've been paying attention, you notice that I used to have a little Jeep Compass, I don't know, here or there somewhere on the lot. That is now gone. You'll notice that my T-Bird is not in here dropping antifreeze on my floor. And that's because I traded the Jeep in for a work to be done on the T-Bird. So they're going to pull the motor out and do a bunch of stuff to that, freeze plugs and things like that. And I don't have to have that stupid so-called Jeep anymore. I did trade it in, got this one. This is definitely the way to go. It's got a fair amount more torque and definitely has more off-road capability. So I got an interesting one here. Trying to bust this bolt loose on the dust cover. And so far, using my breaker bar, I managed to bust the reducer off. Trying to get that side loose, and used my impact wrench, which now I do have a real air compressor over in the front, and it is not doing anything. This was kind of interesting as well. Apparently some rock or something got in there behind the dust cover and actually penetrated. But I can fix that. But I can't get this bolt off. Thought I'd start on this side, back on this side here with a nut, and soaked them both sides down with penetrating oil. And I think I'm going to go ahead with the heat trick and see if I can break it loose with that. Soaked her for overnight. She came right off with the impact, so we're good. This is why I suck as a mechanic. So I went to look just to see, did I put those lock washers on there? Sure enough, I did. Look at that. However, I just took these out, and they were head down, not on the bottom. As you can see, that is head underneath, up through the hole, and nut on top. So I'm sure there's a reason for that. So one at a time, I'm going to pull those back out. I don't know, that's probably the fourth or fifth time I've had those out of their holes anyway. Might as well. All I had to do was tilt my head slightly upward and look at those, and I would have recognized that I had them in upside down. Just tilt like this. Tilt, and then put your head back down. That's all it would have taken. Well, that's it. She's completely disassembled. Right, Tuco? He agrees. It's all completely apart. Way quicker and easier than it was the last time. For one thing, I got this Actual full-size air compressor helped a great deal. I was able to use impact wrench. I'm still not real happy with that impact wrench. There's stuff that it just won't do. But it makes a pretty good air ratchet, if nothing else. The air ratchet didn't make a very good air ratchet. It was fine. I'm sure it does what it's supposed to. You know, it's just an air ratchet. It's not supposed to get rusty bolts loose and stuff. But anyway, I pretty much just used the impact wrench for that. Still having some issues with getting the rest of this dust cover, the spindle off of it. This thing is just a bear. This bolt is just like welded on there. The nut's off, and I was able to get the steering knuckle off of there, but can't get the spindle loose until I get the hooker honor thing for the brake springs off, and that thing won't come loose. And again, even with the air compressor maxed out and my piece of crap impact wrench, I can't get it loose. And I can't chuck it up. Well, I hadn't been able to chuck it up real good yet in the vise. I'll work on that. So what's going to be the fix, I think, for it is I'll get it chucked up right in the vise and go after it with the breaker bar. But anyway, pain in the butt, and but I'll get that done. Kind of another interesting thing is this idler arm, idler arm. It's got these rubber washer thingies on here that kind of fit inside this gap. It's, I assume, sort of a dust cover, basically. And but otherwise, it's just a big old hunk of metal, right? So it doesn't have any grease fittings. It doesn't move. It's not supposed to. You know, there's no pivot in them or anything. So I'm thinking I can reuse it, but I would want something for a dust cover on there. So I got to look that up. I hadn't even realized that was the case with those. What is a steering knuckle? This is another cool thing is I did that in about, that was probably a full 5 minutes. It took me with my angle grinder with wire brush on it, the serious wire brush, braided wire brush. That thing is amazing. Yeah, big difference. Spent that the whole driver's side trying to figure out, come on camera, junk, trying to figure out the best way of doing it. All the parts on the driver's side, first thing I did was start going after them with a screwdriver and chipping them, getting all that concrete off. Spent a lot of time with that. This stuff had the same. Now I had a little bit of a head start in that while they were on there and I had done the frame with the sandblaster, I hit some of these parts to clear the bolt heads and things like that to where I'd be able to get wrenches on them pretty quickly and easily. So I had a little bit of a head start, but this thing that steering knuckle was still full of, covered with that stuff. I just dove right into it with the wire brush on the angle grinder, and it just literally 5 minutes. It's almost done. I mean, there's a little bit of detail on it that I got to do, but I'm just almost ready to paint it in 5 minutes, which is hugely different than the other side. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to wire brush all the small parts. I'm not going to do anything with trying to sandblast them. I am going to get the sandblaster out and get 2 bags of sand, I think. And I think that's going to do, I'll probably get 3 just to be sure on the safe side. Although I can only do 2 in a day anyway, but whatever. I'm going to get probably 3 bags of sand just to make sure. And I'm going to do the entire drinker side of the frame, and I think I'm also going to get somebody to give me a hand getting the bed off of it, and we'll go ahead and do the whole frame, and probably do the pumpkin and all of it, the differential rear and everything, just so I can be painted, and then the whole thing can get put away until body work gets done. You know, I can put it up under cover and tarp it, and the whole thing's ready for whenever we got body work to put on it, and a motor to put in it too would be good. So, anyways, that's where it's at. I got parts ordered. Scott even got some of them already at the door. So I should be ready to start putting that side back together in the next week or two at least. Amazing difference. 2 years to do the driver's side, 2 weeks to do the drinker's side. We'll see how she goes.